be Cory Muller, who is our Merchandiser of the Year for Private Facilities. Round of applause.
Brian? All right, man. Good.
Good to see you, Cory.
Hey, Brian.
So, now watch what I do here. This is going to be a little red button. I'm going to press that. There we go. 8
We're on the
minutes.
clock.
You ready for this? All right. The first thing I want to do is congratulate you on a great job, and you do incredible work over at the Country Club of Darien. I've always been a huge fan of yours when it comes to merchandising, and ever since I've known you, you've been a very brave dresser. As you can see, I'm kind of a standard solid shirt.
Catch you.
All right. But stripes, polka dots, you pull it all together.
I tried to go the entire year this year without wearing a stripe, and it was difficult. We got about 2/3 of the way through, but that's the challenge for next year.
Well, you do great things over there, Darien, and I want to ask you a couple of questions here, and this is your time to shine, but have you always been ahead of the curve in fashion? If I look back at your high school yearbook, am I going to see Muller in there as best dressed? When did you catch this fashion bug?
Definitely not. That's a good question. No, definitely not. But I guess my personality and I think upbringing with family and friends and stuff. Been okay with who I am. I'm pretty comfortable in my own skin, and so if I like something, I go for it, and I'm kind of okay with that.
Retail is a huge part of our profession, but it doesn't come natural to all of us. How did you develop your expertise on the retail side of things?
Well, I was really fortunate. I grew up in an entrepreneur family. Both my parents are retailers. At the height of their business career, owned 4 brick and mortar retail stores ranging from floor covering and design to hardware, and a hardware store that was the construction guy that would walk in and then the grandma right behind him looking to find that treasure somewhere in the aisle. So it was a really unique upbringing, and I learned a lot. And I think it was, conversations sort of leading in through high school and into college about where my direction would be, and that the golf business, as my father sort of broached, was an opportunity to perhaps own a retail space, have that entrepreneurship, but still have a solid job and be able to follow your passion with golf and teaching and playing.
We have a number of them in the room tonight: partners, sponsors, vendors, sales reps. Define your relationship with the sales reps and those folks that represent the lines you carry in your shop.
Well, I think it's huge to success. I'm not 100% sure they feel the same way about me as I feel about them.
I think they do.
But I challenge them. I think that's the big thing. When they come to see me, I don't want to just go through the motions. Anybody can write a check. I want to be an active part of the decision making, but more so I want to put some of the onus back on them as and the manufacturers and kind of the big dog out there, as opposed to the little guy carrying all the liability. So, stressing the importance of thinking outside the box and putting a little bit more pressure on them to help me be successful, I think has been a big part to why things have worked for me.
I'm going to go off track here a little bit and talk about the specific partners and sponsors in our section. Do you know who they are? Do you go out of your way to try and help the folks that are helping us in the section?
Well, I surely think so. I mean, I think it's a major part to why our Met section is so awesome, is due to the support and due to the fact that so many of them have turned out for an evening like tonight. I make sure to try to recognize them when I meet with them. I absolutely take appointments with anyone who calls on me, and I'll be quite frank, I may not purchase something from them right at that moment, but I let them know it's important for me to know what's out there in the field. It's important for me to take the meeting because I respect what they've done for us in our section. So that 45 minutes or an hour, I think, will go a long way in our relationship, even though the value of that may not pertain to dollars spent in that moment.
All right, a young assistant is out there sitting in an interview for a head pro job. The committee asks, we're thinking of owning the shop ourselves. Do you want to own the golf shop or not? How do you advise this young golf professional?
Well, it's interesting. I think, the retail and merchandising in this day and age is changing, right? The brick and mortar store is not what it maybe once used to be. And golf is no different to that. Online sales and things that are out there, our consumers have a ton of different options. So I would say, look, it's a headache you never want to get rid of. It's something that I think can make you shine as a professional. There's not many outlets out there any longer that can separate us from the next person. And so I think the retail space is an area where you can really shine, and I think you do that through service. It's not necessarily the dollars and cents of it, but it's the ability to be the foremost authority, whether it be in technology, equipment, fashion, and to just bring all of those ideas and things that we see on a daily basis to our members.
All part of the service package.
I think that's huge. I mean, I've gone and foregone sales where I maybe lost a buck to bring something to a member that they just couldn't get, knowing that that was going to pay me back tenfold down the road, and it surely has. And I stress that to my team. Sometimes they look at me like I'm crazy, but I think that vision is really important for my team to carry on. That there's just not going to be, no is not going to be an answer.
At one point, I owned my own shop, and I fell into the trap of only purchasing things that I like. Where do you look for inspiration for a new line?
Well, I lean on my team for sure. I lean on members actually that are maybe out there in the retail space or the fashion industry or areas in the marketplace that I can draw some inspiration from. I never miss a PGA show. I think it's important to spend time, walking the aisles and taking a look at what's out there to draw some ideas. But ultimately, I agree. If my entire shop looked like my closet, we might not be as successful. So you have to definitely be willing to do things, that the industry may accept a little bit more than just yourself.
Well, we mentioned the team. Describe the importance of surrounding yourself with a great crew and how they help you do what you do best.
Well, I've been hugely lucky in that department. My team starts really with my family. My wife Vanessa, who's here, our two awesome girls, are undying supporters of whether it's going to those bookings and callings or meetings in the club. And, this is kind of a weird gig we have as a golf professional. So to have that support every single day is huge. Beyond that, I have great mentors, starting with my parents who have done a great job kind of helping me understand the retail space. And then people I've worked for. I worked for a guy named John Murphy at the Farmington Country Club. It was one of my first internships. And here was a guy who was the #1 retailer of Waterford Crystal on the East Coast. And he did it out of a little bookcase next to the register in the Little Red Clock Shop, a space that couldn't have been any bigger than probably a bathroom at your house there, Brian. But it was
the Kroll Palace.
It was amazing to me. Here was a golf professional who said, I'm going to try to do more than just sell gloves and hats and golf shirts. And he had sort of a haberdashery and a real following. And it enlightened me to say, hey, there's more to this, and there could be more to this than just maybe what we think of as a golf retailer.
That's great. Other lines of possible revenue and other ways to make the membership and their guests happy.
But I've got a great team. I really try to hire with that in mind. I can't do everything and be everywhere, so I continue to tell my members I'm the luckiest guy. I get to, in many ways, swoop in at the very end and hold the clipboard and grab the mic, but it's really, Chris and Peyton, Ty, James, my entire team currently. And I learned that from great mentors. Carl Alexander was a huge person giving me kind of the stretch at the golf club of purchase to work that golf shop. And Grant Turner, my first job here, who, as he now says, took a chance on me way back when, whereas I strolled up thinking, as a 20-something-year-old, I'd just be a head pro in no time. So I learned a ton from them for sure.
Well, we've mentioned the team, we've mentioned some influential pros and Mr. Murphy. Anyone else we should thank here while you're on the stage?
I really thank everybody in this room. I know that kind of sounds corny, but I constantly am bouncing off ideas with fellow professionals here, and I actually get a lot out of when people call and ask maybe for a little help or advice, because it gets me thinking maybe about the direction they're going in or what I could be doing better. I just think we have a phenomenal section, a phenomenal place to be a golf professional. I look at all these pictures around of all these award winners, and despite what category they're winning in, almost everybody's got a golf club in their hand, and that's really cool, right? It comes back to the root of what we do. I'm just really proud to be part of this section. It's awesome.
White belt, yes, no?
It's phasing out, I hate to tell you. Sorry.
All right.
But that's all right.
Congratulations, Cory, Muller.
Right, thank you.
A round of
Thanks,
applause.
everybody. Appreciate it.